Hello, my name is Caleb Anthony.
What does parenting mean to you?
Parenting is responsibility. It's God giving you a gift and entrusting it in your hands to take care, to nurture, to train, to put appropriate structure for adequate growth that that child will grow into the framework of what God has designed that child to be. So, parenting is like coaching in football. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity that an individual has to influence the direction of how another person's life can go. That's why I always take reference from the Bible when the Bible says, training up a child in a way he should, so that when he's old. So parenting is basically a lifetime commitment to seeing that, another individual entrusted to you by God lives out his fullest potential. Yeah. So.
Do you think parenting should be a course that people take in preparation for parenthood?
Oh yes. It's very funny how in today's society we study for profession, we study for career, we study for certifications to help us climb into different spheres of relevance, influence, to help us open more doors of possibilities. And it already shows what we prioritize. And that we don't study for parenting is already a clear indicator that people assume parenting. People just stumble into it. People just they wing it, and you cannot be a parent by assumption. You have to learn the ropes. A system has to be in place to enable people to understand the basics. Many people have faulty foundations because they don't have adequate points of reference. And you get points of reference for growth, point of reference to develop from already existing knowledge base. So we owe it to ourselves to institutionalize and put into readable documents, knowledge transfer material, insight, experience. So it's very important and paramount that we are able to trap experience. People say don't let old flames burn you twice. The reason other people have bad experiences is so that those coming behind them won't repeat the same experience. So if we are able to put together positive experiences, value systems, principles, things to look out for, many people will not be taken by surprise, because parenthood happens to people. They just stumble into it, and many people will share their experiences with you and they tell you, I didn't prepare for it. I didn't know it was going to be tedious. I didn't know it was this complex. I didn't know it was this demanding. So how do you expect full maximal contribution or involvement from an individual that is not even prepared, has no idea, clueless about what the person is about to enter into, parenting? So I think we need to institutionalize it, put it into a course form, and just give people a heads up, of what they're really getting themselves into. It's quite important that we do that.
I totally agree with you. Thank you for sharing. So far, what has been your experience in building trust between you and your child?
Okay, so I have a kid, and he'll be 2 years in January. And basically for me, trust is being yourself enough and allowing the kid be themselves. Children can never trust you when you don't allow them be vulnerable around you. The moment you put up legalistic walls and then you put a framework of what they can be, what you've done is you've opened possibilities of pretense. Every child is supposed to be allowed to be themselves. The job of the parent is to sift the good and the bad and make sure you recommend what is right. You don't tell a child, if you tell a child what you're doing is wrong, and you don't put a system where you let the child understand why what the person is doing is wrong, you're not teaching the child how to make choices. And life is a game of choices. And the earlier your kids know consequences on time in life by putting them, putting a plethora of options for them, by allowing them be themselves. Sometimes they can make mistakes, of course, guided mistakes. You don't remove your eyes. I think my approach to building trust is like the mother eagle, right? And the eagle from a height, from a mountain would, in a bid to teach the baby eagle how to fly, would let the eagle just throw the eagle from that height, and the eagle will be coming down in full force, and the eagle will start trying to, the baby eagle will start trying to move the wings. That's trust. You trust your child enough to glide through tough terrains and, the torrents, the wind, and then the mother is following, right? Just in case the wings don't come out and then they don't flap, and then you catch the baby eagle before collides with danger. That's how to train. You don't pamper your child into life. You have to create an opportunity of trust where they can be themselves. Many parents are living in denial, of the real identity of their children because they didn't give them that ample space and opportunity to be themselves. So what I do is I communicate. I try to talk and I try to listen. It's one thing to hear your child speak to you. It's one thing to listen. As a parent, talk less, listen more, and then communicate instruction and then follow through. So you are firm in love. You communicate instruction and follow through. You don't talk. When you talk, children learn from what they see, not what they hear. So kids model with action, not necessarily with words. And for example, my son, I let him make mistakes. So he's trying to, and I reaffirm his mistakes, right? And that builds trust to try again. So he's already free and he's not trying to be all correct in the presence of daddy. He knows that good or bad, I can be myself around daddy, and daddy is not success-centric but process-centric, right? And as a parent, it's important and paramount that your child believes that you believe in effort, not just outcome, so that when they fail, they trust that you can actually strengthen them to rise, because that's your job. Reinforcement, leader, guide. That's what you're there to do. You're not there you didn't give birth to people that will augment your failure in life. Many people just do stuff like, my child is going to be a better version of me. That's good ambition, but that might not happen from the get-go, right? So when you see them trying to grow, trust, the expression of trust is that you let them be themselves. They fall and you reaffirm them when they fall and help them to rise. So when my son was trying to take baby steps and all, it was somewhat dicey because there's that security, tendency for a parent. You don't want your child to fall. You don't want your child to make mistakes if he slips. But no child can grow that way when you are too conscious of letting them be themselves. Let them flex their muscle. That's trust. Let them grow their muscle. That's trust. And when you do that, it will grow, and organically, any other scenario or environment they find themselves, you become that first point of reference that they come to get counsel on what to do, to get advice on what to do. Many parents lose their children because they pamper and overprotect them, and that's not a good approach to parenting. So trust your kids enough to make mistakes, trust them enough to grow around you, trust them enough to be there for them during that evolving season. And I think, I'm still a rookie, but I think that would be a better environment to, get them to develop properly. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Mr. Caleb. As a parent, what do you think is the best way to approach sexual health education, especially in today's age?
In today's age, the worst thing that can happen to a parent is to assume your children don't know. As a parent, sexual education should come into the mix, the conversation, as soon as you know that a child is already at that reproductive age, becoming sexually active. And because it would be a bad assumption to think that you are the only source of knowledge or a point of exposure that they have. The truth is, the world now is just the globe in a box. An individual can access a plethora of information like just snap with their fingers. The internet has made things fast and has made things complicated. So it's important to get ahead of the internet in domesticating sexual education knowledge. It's important that they learn it in a safe space, in a safe environment, and then they build safe consciousness and safe awareness, before they get into a pool of information where it's perverted, it's exploited, and it's undermined. So it's important that you introduce this early enough. Don't be shy about it. And even raising children, you see parents shy away from calling sexual body organs the actual names. You just use aliases and just using other things to call these things what they are. Let kids become comfortable knowing that this is part of my this is a part of my body, and teach them how to maintain, keep, preserve the value, the worth. Let them understand value, understand decency, understand moderation, understand composure, understand compliments early enough, so that they don't get swayed away when the opposite sex is probably becoming the subject of admiration or the source of admiration, and then they lose control, and then they start to look up to that person for validation, and upon validation they start to indulge. So most of the times kids indulge sources that validate them. So let that source of validation be you, the parent. So from an early age, don't shy away from it. Tell them what this is about. Don't teach them from the standpoint of fear. Many parents will say, if you do this, you will get pregnant. If you do this, you will do that. If you do no. If that's what you're saying is that if I can do it and find a way not to get pregnant, then I can get away with it. It's okay. So you see, don't teach from fear. Don't teach from consequences. Teach from knowledge. From knowledge, you start to build them up to see consequences of certain actions that they take at the wrong time, so that they hold on to value, not fear. They hold on to principles, not fear. Because if you go out there, the world is just encompassed with alternative knowledge, shortcuts, fast ways to beat the system, faster ways to not delay gratification. That's what you find there. There's an abundance of quick fixes, quick options that lead people into complications. So you need to see that you start to teach them, early enough. So early education is critical, and then the method of educating them is also very important. Understanding their frame, who they are, and then letting them learn in a safe environment is very critical. Yeah.
Thank you. I quite agree with you on that one. How do you balance your responsibilities as a parent and responsibilities at work?
Yeah, so for me, it's just a scale of preference. Family is on the top of that scale. Work is a means to take care of family. That's just what work is about. Like, work cannot come in between the role I play. So it's first priest, father, then whatever measure I bring value to society, workspace, and also everything is supposed to power the home front, not the other way around. The home front cannot suffer at the expense of work. So what I do is prioritize. So in between work, I have schedules in between work to always check in on family, to do video calls even when I'm at work, to have frequent conversations. Once I'm home, I'm home. The work cannot encroach into home time, family time. I keep work at bay and make sure that there's quality time. Really, it's about time. It's time, and not just time, but quality time, not passive time, active time. So you also have to try your best. It's not easy. To some people, it's just idealistic, but if you're intentional, you can work around it. While you're at work, you make sure not to get so overwhelmed that when you go home, you don't have time to spend that bonding time with your kids and wife and spouse, and then it's about, I'm tired, I want to just eat and go to bed, and I wake up in the morning and continue the rat race. At the end of the day, when we're about to die and on our deathbed, they ask us what's the most important thing in life, then we now start to give that lame advice. Prioritize family. I wish I had more time to prioritize family. That's all silly excuse. The earlier you know to put priority, the earlier you can live balance. So balance really is that family is on the top of the scale. Every other thing is just to help you, power family life. Work is just to make life convenient. Work is just to see that you are able to afford to provide good quality of life, for your family. So if the real reason you're working is not getting the adequate attention, then it's really misplaced priority. So I think it's a lot of intentional effort goes into this, because sometimes we're so overwhelmed. For us men especially, we are so overwhelmed. We are bothered with trying to make ends meet, so many things, fighting for your attention, and that's when you have to sit down sometimes. So sometimes I just disconnect. So wake up early in the morning, keep early routines and late night routines. So late night routines, do an reevaluation of the day, and see how you spent your time, attention. The early hours of the day, you prioritize. I literally do a to-do list of what to do with my son. In the morning, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure I do this. I'm going to do this for my family. I'm going to do this for my wife. Midday, I do a to-do list. The way I put a checklist for work, I put a checklist for family, so that I don't assume. Because it's very funny how in a very subtle way, you just start to sideline them. And then you use work as an excuse. And many men, we almost threaten our family. Don't you know I'm doing this for you people? Don't you know I'm doing... It comes very easy for us, but you see, your children don't understand. That's why you see that many kids are closer to their mothers than their fathers, because they feel the mother is the figure of love that is present. So children assess love not by what you give them, but the time you spend with them. So the most present parent figure becomes the love object in that entire parent and child relationship. So many men spend their entire lives working hard and die on the job, on the hustle, but children will always tell you, I love my mother to bits because she's always there for me, and you are the one powering the being there, but they don't see that. So don't cheat yourself. So try and find a way to just enter into the mix, so that they actually know that my dad is always there for me. And I lost my dad at 6, and I didn't have the privilege to grow up with one. So I intentionally told myself I was going to be there for my son. And I know the effect of the absence of a parent figure in the life of a child. The gap is not something that any other thing can fill. There's no substitute for this. So don't substitute your role while you're still alive in the life of your child. Be available, be there, listen, be invested, create memories.
So if parenting week, and what's your advice to every other parent out there?
Okay, my advice to every parent out there is parenting is a leap of faith. It's a walk of faith. Just trust God. Trust the process. The reward is actually in the process, not in the outcome, because what your children cannot pay you. It's a selfless investment, and you're doing it for God. So once you see yourself as a caretaker of God's investment, you become completely sold and spent to ensuring that you prioritize quality, in your parenting approach, and don't be anxious for nothing. Don't be anxious for nothing. Our kids always put us on that. They put us in that position where we are always anxious. We just have this. We get edgy, and there's the beat to always want to solve all the problems, answer all the questions, fight against uncertainty. But no, that can happen. You can't prevent the unpreventable. You can only do what you can do in the moment. So focus on investing in now. It's the quality of investment you make today that will reflect in your return on investment tomorrow. So I just want you to enjoy the ride, because there are days that you'll be frustrated. There are days that you'll be excited. There are days that you'll be trying to figure it out, or it's part of the package. I just think it's a buffet, So every day you wake up, ask God for strength to take it one day at a time, and always look out for the best in your children. Speak into them, prophesy into them. Is a name that you call them that they become. God gave man that level of authority. I say whatever you call any of this creation, it becomes. And as you form them, as you shape them, God has given you the power to speak into their lives and use that advantage and edge that you have as a parent to see that these children turn out to become the very best that they can be. Thank you.